Hello, lovelies. This is Chloe. It's been a little bit. So, I have been participating in Lucy Cavendish's part one to become a uh, certified oracle, and it's been oof, really. I don't even know how I wanted to say it. I just feel like I've been growing, and it's only been within the first. I'm in within the first 2 weeks. And because I had a harder time, I picked the deck I have a harder time connecting with of hers is the Fairy Forest deck. I really love the guide, and I find the artwork challenging for me. But I really connect with the meanings in the book, so that's been fun. And so I've been very distracted by that, and I am started working on hotline or two online. And so, yeah, new things have been in motion. But what I have come today to do a video about, a vlog, if you will, a walkthrough of, it's not really, well, it's not going to be a complete first impressions because I've already kind of looked at the book, but I actually haven't gotten into the cards yet. I found this at Barnes and Noble, the Lunar Nomad Oracle. I think it's supposed to be a playoff on the Lenormand uh, system, and it has 43 instead of the traditional amount for Lenormand. And the artwork is really interesting. I saw a couple pictures online, and it has a cat in it, so I had to get it. And I like the idea. I really like systems that are Oracle bent because I enjoy learning the systems, but sometimes when I'm flowing, it's just easier if I can use them as an oracle part of the time. So I really like the box. It does open to the left, which is awesome for me because I'm left-handed, and I find that this is pretty sturdy, but it's not an enclosed box. It's just like a slip form that you would use to have on a bookshelf. So that's one thing. And I only glanced a little at the book. It's actually a nice little meaty book, and because the impression I got just from glancing through a bit of it is that the author, which I'll show you the picture of, with his lovely cat, so adorable, talks about how in the book, the one area I did read, it talked about how he was like raised by his mom and his grandma, and he's had a lot of female influence in his life, and he seems to be very connected and really well balanced between, yeah, his grandmother spoke of angels and invisible helpers who you could call upon in times of need, and my mother gave me the gift of the tarot, her way of helping me cultivate and hone my blooming psychic abilities. So he has a strong feminine influence in his life, which is something that I kind of detected before I looked at the book. And it was interesting to have it confirmed so quickly right at the beginning of the book. So I just want to go ahead and do a walkthrough on the cards because honestly, this is a Lenormand offshoot with some added cards. And the style is done in a way, like it says, as an oracle, and that intrigued me. And technically, this is as far as I've gotten. Looking a little tiny bit through the guidebook, and now I'm just now all I've seen is this and a couple cards online. Now this looks to be the same one in reverse and slightly different coloration as the box cover. And the book does not have the same artwork at all, although the back of the cards is part of the back cover of the book and also part of the cover on the box, part of the box artwork. All right. It'll take me a moment to open these. I didn't bring any tools. Usually I can get them open. Now, I know our lovely The Truth and Story, Kelly, has done a review, but I only watched like a few minutes and then I thought, No, no, no. I want to go get this myself, and then I plan on watching the rest of Kelly's video because she is quite thorough, and I wanted to get my own impressions on it. I heard Oracle, I heard Lenormand combination, and this I have another one called the Witchery Oracle that I did a video on. So y'all know I am fond of these kind of decks. All right. Ooh, these are quite large. And I'm used to kind of large size decks, so that I don't mind that too much. Although for me, this is kind of stretching it. It feels like even bigger than my fairy forest. Let me see. Even bigger than. Oh, it is. This is even bigger than my Lucy Cavendish decks, Blue Angel decks. And this, the publisher is Wiser Books. Yeah. Wiser. I think I said that right. And oh, now I have the Vintage Wisdom Oracle, and I really enjoy working with it. It's not one that I use as often as my Lucy Cavendish ones, but when I want a different feel, a more, if you will, mature feel, not so cutesy or not so darkly, but still not overly like angely or overly yes, yes, yes kind of deck. I like the Vintage Wisdom Oracle. Now this, the collage aspect reminds me of it, but this is a borderless deck, as you can see. And our first one, oh, actually this is the back. So this is going in reverse order if we're just going from the bottom of the what's showing on the first card. So that is actually number 41, and it's a seer. And as I believe it has, I think, let's see. Traditionally, I believe Lenormands have, 36 cards. So there are about 4 or 5 extra cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5 extra cards. When is the seer? So let's go ahead and I guess flip through from the front. There's a nice title card. It says exactly everything. It says the Lunar Nomand Oracle, 43 cards to unlock your creativity and awaken your intuition. Shaheen Miro. And this, it makes it very clear this Oracle and all content within this deck, blah, blah, blah. So, like, you know, royalties and such. The cardstock is matted, and it reminds me of the thickness of my parchment business cards. So, yeah, do be gentle with these. Oh, but I do love this collage look of different pictures. Again, it's reminding me of the Vintage Wisdom where it looks like they took an actual picture. They are so large for me. I'm definitely going to, I think, do the cutting shuffle with this because it is so big and I want to be gentle with it. I love the bridge. The camel is really cool. I still would think rider with that because I've only ever seen camels in shows and movies. Rarely do I ever see camels by themselves except for when they're like parked waiting. So yeah, especially with all the gear on it, I would be thinking of riders and travel. I'm not one that wants to stay in the desert very long, so yeah, going places. To me, deserts are in between places. But that's just me. Really cool. Here's number 2, Clover. Again, that vintage picture mixed in with possibly other vintage art, but definitely a mixture of symbology there from a clover and I guess a clock, some kind of budding flower, and or that's probably the blossom that goes with the clover, right? And then like an angely. Actually, those are not angel wings, so I would say their version of a fairy. So I really like that. And I love the I like that it's not super white. It's like all antique paper looking. This one is Ship, and I really do like that they're using air balloon. I think that's a cool adaptation for Ship. In my Witchery Oracle, it has just the sea. And of course, you wouldn't travel by sea except for by boat or swimming. So, yeah, that's a good one for travel as well in that sense. And this has that whole, so a globe or map type in the back. And then you have a compass. And then you have the air balloon, of course. And then there's writing. Like this was a paper that was used before with writing. And it looks like it's someone's letter or notes, but the balloon just kind of get in the middle of all the words, so it's kind of hard to follow. But yeah, I bet if I spent some time looking at the cursive writing, I could make out some things. I really do love that antique parchment look. And here we go. Oh, that's kind of cool, the house. I love that it's showing like family portraits, little shadowscapes. Do you remember scenes of how they would take the light and do the shadow and then they do a sketch off of or an outline and then shade it in? Love that. Reminds me of that. So this is house. For those of you with like maybe weakening eyesight where tiny cards and their little tiny pictures are a bit of a challenge for you, but you would love to still maintain your divination practice, this would be a good deck. This is not overly brightly colored, but it has a very soft finish feel, but still very clear to see everything. I love, this is the tree. I love the little rabbits and the squirrel. I love the little critters all over the tree, which is what I miss when I look at other cards. I know usually it's just the tree, maybe something in the tree, but I really like this. It's like the tree is a living home, which it should be. Trees are like their own living systems, and the animals and all the little critters that live around and within it are definitely part of its life cycle and its purpose of being one with its area that it lives in and caring for the other animals that live with it. No. All right. Okay, later, bub. So yeah, I really love this tree. I love the birds. There's even a nest in one corner there. Let me turn it a little so you might be able to see it better. Yeah, there's a little nest. The details are very nice. And I like that it isn't just, there's a tree. Because sometimes that just doesn't feel like enough for me. But I am an intuitive reader, so the motion and action in a scenery really helps me with remembering terms and reading the cards. So I really like these Oracle / Lenormand decks that are coming out. So this is the clouds, and it does still have like the dark and light aspect, depending on what color you want to see as dark or light. Make up your own mind on that. The sun is getting bright out here. Sorry about that. I hope you can still clearly see the cards though. And yeah, and oh, I love this. It's like pinkish purples, blue, green, teal type tones. And I hope that comes through. Again, I love the size because I'm nearsighted, but I have friends who, when they try to look at like my tiny cards, they're just like, unless they're very vivid, they just can't take it in. Some of my older friends, I thought, oh, this would be perfect because it's so much larger. Here's the snake. When it has more than one snake, it has this really vivid snake in the front, and then it has a darker snake in the background underneath. It's very vivid. Very cool. All right. And here we have the coffin. Now, this made sense to me because it's showing like really ancient like culture where they would take the bones and fragments of, say, like a shaman or someone who was really special to their community. And there were certain tribes people or in certain cultures that would weather out the bodies, and then they would collect the bones and put them in special containers so that they could keep that sacred one amongst them and be able to access the wisdom and just have the protection of that person living amongst them. And so these containers remind me of that. It wasn't every culture, of course. I was trying to remember where I'd read that. It was when I was studying anthropology and some other stuff back in college. I remember I found that really fascinating. And I find it interesting that they kind of have this hourglass over, like kind of over or amongst where they have the skull. And it makes me think that there's another like symbology or meaning there, but it's just not connecting in this moment for me. But I really also like the bird as well, like whispering, taking in, hearing the voices of the ancient ones, that kind of thing. And the coffin itself, I know, is like an end, those kind of things. But I see so much more in that picture. I really like it. All right, so here's the bouquet. French is not my first language, obviously. At least I think that's where bouquet comes from. I really like the statues in the background there. It's a nice touch. Or at least they look a little bit like statues to me. And the flowers are almost touchable in the tones to me. When I first looked, I'm like, oh, that looks so velvety. But then you take a second look and you realize it's an illustration, of course. And I really like the details in this archway that they have here. I just love how you can really sink into the pictures so far. I think that is a really cool effect. And then it's like a male and a female on each side. And it's interesting because they have a male and a female on this side, but then below, this is a male and a female. So it's like opposites or opposites, however you want to think of it. So that's really cool. The container, I love the double handles as well. Makes me feel like it would be sturdier to hold and move, not so breakable. I actually really like the scissors because how often does any of us use a scythe nowadays, honestly? So the shears, I like that. Matter of fact, this year my husband actually bought special scissors for meat cutting and like bone separation and stuff like that. So when I see this, I'm like, oh yeah, it makes total sense to me. And special, like in the pagan traditions, especially at green craft or doing wild crafting, you usually want a special tool for harvesting plants. Now, I wouldn't necessarily use a metal shears. I would use something that has been carved or especially made for plants and stuff. And usually I just use my hands with an edge of what I have this wood tool that's been tapered enough that it can help with harvesting without causing too much damage to the plants. And this to me looks like stinging nettle possibly. And I say that because there's these little spiky things off there. I'm really interested to see what it says in the book. And then of course we have like, it looks like a skull, but I do not recognize like what that skull is from. Like this is a very prominent nose or some kind of feature there, but this looks like a jaw. And then there's like an impression of a horn coming down. So I think this is maybe a non-standard being, like not necessarily trying to represent a human skull, maybe some other creature. But I do find it very fascinating. Definitely going to read the book to see what they have to say about this card too. I really like that. Again, I like shears versus scythe. Not that I don't like scythe, I do. It's a very traditional symbol, but for a modern age, that seems more appropriate. Oh, this is gorgeous. The whip. I like the vivid colors. This orangey yellow. I actually prefer this type of yellow or a buttercup yellow compared to the school bus yellow. Ugh, I hate that color. Sorry. It's true, I just don't like it. I love the joy, the sensuality in this piece. So many people think whip in like negativity, you know, I can see the total temptation or the um the sensuality, that kind of aspect. You could take this a lot of different directions, of course, depending on the other cards that come up beside it, right? Lovely. I like that. Ooh, this is pretty. Birds. Oh, it has cages and birds that are free on branches. That's interesting. The wallpaper seems to have leaves and vines kind of superimposed over it, or maybe it's most supposed to be just another layering effect, kind of a collage. But I like it. I like that kind of sandy tones, vivid colors mixed with the sky there. I totally get the whole gathering and chattering aspect of the birds. Talking. Almost hear them twittering right now. Matter of fact, I can hear birds twittering out here. This is the time of year where the birds actually start getting vocal around here. Oh, I really like this. This is one of my favorite things on older part paper is having musical notes over the back of it. I guess it's because I was so involved in music when I was in high school and college. It looks like there's two different ages of children or child on the picture, just slightly different ages. There's no mistaking what this card is, the child. I like that. I'll have to think about the combination of the musical notes with the child. I think that's a really neat combination, but I'm going to have to think about it. I do like the colors though. I like that this is also not like blood red. It's like a burgundy slash, you know. I just like that tone of red. I think that's beautiful. Fox. Oh, I love that there's more than one fox. There's like three. That's so adorable. I like that they put them in natural tones that you would more likely see the fox in, like in the grass or trees. Looks like bushes or something, and trees mixed in over here. There. It's really cool. I like this. Again, I love how big it is. Again, I think this is going to be a deck you'd want to do a cutting shuffle with versus rifle shuffling or whatever, especially if you don't have big enough hands to do it. But I also feel like if you get someone who wants a reading with you and they can't see really small work, this deck's going to be perfect for that. Oh, I really love this scene. It's so precious, and yet this really calls to seeing the bear as more than just, you know, an animal in the forest. So the symbol of the bear in the deck is usually, you know, a husky person or someone in power or a maternal, those kind of, you know, key terms. And I love the bear is sitting in a throne. This almost reminds me of like Beauty and the Beast or the Snow White and Briar Rose story. Of course, there's only one sister here, but still, I see some correlation there. Tea party. Again, the throne suggesting the whole Arthur, and in the sense of the basic meaning of Arthur is Artorias, which it connects to the bear, authority, strength, those kind of things. And then having almost a princess-like young woman or girl sharing a meal or tea, unafraid. It's an awesome little setting. And the architectural background is really cool too. Ooh, this is so vivid. I really love the tones of this blues. I'm pretty sure that's an octopi. Octopi or squid. No, octopi, I believe. It's almost like there's a skull there, but it's not. Like here, it's not a skull, but if you were just glancing at it, you might see a skull a little bit. That's really cool. And I see the stars and maybe the Milky Way, but I also get like what with the octopus being on there, the feeling of being in the water and maps because of the circling and the lines. Yeah, it's all there. So I could see this going different directions for sure. What is most drawing your eyes? What is calling you? And this is the stars. And where else can you see the stars the best but in at sea with so little light pollution out there? Oh yeah. Navigating by the stars. I think this is really cool. I just can't get over how large and I love that it's borderless. That is such a good choice. Oh, the stork. Oh, there's eggs. That is so cool. Oh, eggs. So, the maybe babies coming. This looks like the gate to, like it's in a setting at maybe a nature park in an Asian culture. This reminds me of the Asian architecture here. Oh, I love the trees in that illustrative form that they have here. Oh, I just love that. The tones are just so lovely. Thank goodness the shade came a little. I hope you can still see pretty clearly. So gorgeous. Oh, I really do like the matte finish. Sometimes when there's, the gloss, yes, it's protective and it might make the shuffling a little easier, but it can also make it very stiff. And I like this parchment effect. Uh, to me, I may be wrong in how I'm saying that, but it reminds me of that parchment and the matted feel. It just seems more connective to me. Now, this is a different tone in the center, but the outer art feels in line with most of the collage and older illustrations we've been seeing so far. But this is definitely a signature piece. I can't even remember. I think this is like a logo of some brand. I can't remember exactly. I remember seeing it because my grandmother had some old um, accordion or an old machine similar to this, and there was like a logo like this, if not this exact picture, a similar look. But I like that for dog. It's so very clear their inquisitiveness, their connection to man in the sense of being, interacting with a machine made by a man. Yeah, I like that. I like the tones too. Blues and greens are. I really love abalone shells. Like my favorite color, if I have a favorite color. But my top colors are in that blue, green, purple sphere with silver. If it took it individually. Oh, this is so cool. And teal. Teal, I really like teal. I actually really like this card. I like the feathers behind there. This really pulls to a different direction that the Lenormand goes in. It instead of the tower being about, like in Tarot, it's about sudden change and a very, very violent change, even, or just very life changing in a not so great way at all. Mittens, you stay where you're at. Don't push on that. You be good. My cat wants out. We've had to put them indoors because there's just too many wild animals here. And she tried to start fights with raccoons, and I don't need her getting rabies, right? Oh, and one cool little detail that's a little hard to see, but see this little white, like bright area here? That's actually a little dude with like a staff or something outside the tower. Yeah, it's a little dude. And I like this, and not usually an angel person, but it reminds me, like, say maybe there's protection there, spiritual protection with the wings, and that the structure looks very sturdy and stable. So in Lenormand, as we know, the tower is about businesses or schools or being involved in something that gives you some boundaries and a place to succeed and excel and raise up in in the hierarchy or in the job structure, that kind of thing. or leads to graduation, achievements, things like that. So the Tower is a very positive card in Lenormand, as far as I'm concerned. But as an Oracle, I would be like, oh, protected place, something along those lines, and I'd have to see what else was going on. I like this garden. The flowers are very lush. Even the greenery. This is a really awesome garden piece. I like the gazebo. There's like a table here. It's really enclosed, but it still feels very inviting. And again, just that older look is so sweet. I like the different tones they've mixed so well here. It's a very pretty environment. I definitely want to relax there. I see that there's like a chair in the corner here, but I really just want cushions around that table. For true relaxation, eh? But still, very lovely card. Totally could get that community feel, connecting, networking, that kind of thing. Nourishment, maybe even, but those are a lot of flowers, so I'd have to think about that. Ooh, mountain. Yep. Okay, just seeing those equations and stuff, it makes me think, ooh, difficult. Let alone the mountainside there. Clearly, this is a very good symbol for the obstacles that you have to go through before you can get to the solution or the destination or whatever you might be facing. Yes, this is a very good representation of that. Just the sheer cliff aspect of what's going on there. I like it. And I love the tones. That's really pretty green. It has a nice mix. It's green with light blues, a little bit of pink here and there. But it's like what you'd find in a mixture of minerals. So it's kind of cool. And there's these little degrees and mathematical equations for figuring out perhaps an engineering project of dealing with this side of the mountain to clear things or get past the block. Almost like I would imagine something like this, using something similar when you're trying to engineer a road or maybe train tracks along the side of a mountain or something. Yeah, something along those lines. That's what it reminds me of anyways. First blush. Ooh, this is cool. Pathways. I really like this. I like that it does show two pathways, but I have one where it kind of shows a pathway, but then I couldn't really always spot where it was leading to a possible another route. But this one, even though it does cut it a little bit with the bush, it does show that other route a little further up in the picture there. I really like, oh, there's like a tower in the background. That would be interesting to get those in a row. Continuing from like the tower and then this or this before the tower. That would be an interesting follow through of story and visual effect. This one, it's definitely an illustrative or maybe even a painting that has been adapted or something. At one glance, I thought, oh, maybe this is really a picture. But no, looking a little deeper at the details, this is just a really well done painting piece. And I really do feel the lushness of the forest there. So, pathways, really lovely card. I'm sorry I'm taking so long with it, but it's so good. Oh, I actually really like that. Ducks of the liver. Ooh, okay. So this has something about the liver back here. Some sciencey type stuff in the back. Some containers, architecture. And then the mice, the forefront. Yeah, I could see where you could get some things with this. It says call bladder. Okay. Ducts of the liver. Pylorus. Different pieces of the internal organs we all have. And then the mice. I like that they look like they're sneaking. I like that they've added a little bit of character to the mice. Even though they haven't added any face, it's just an outline. The action and the motion, the intent is there. I like that. I really need to think about how I'm going to definitely be reading. This is one where you're definitely going to want to read the book. At least for certain key symbolism. Oh, that is so cool. Heart. Oh, okay, so rib cage in the background, a heart in the center, more labeling of the different pieces of the heart, and then bees. Honeybees, looks like. Beautiful bees. I do love bees. Heart. Heartwarming. I often think warm when I think of bees because the bees tend to work together to keep their environment stable for the processing of their honey and keeping the young healthy. Yeah. Heartwarming. Ooh, ring. I really like that ring. It looks like a signet. Maybe even one of those rings you would use to like stamp a letter to seal it. And then here's an x-ray of a hand with a ring on it. And the ring is shining light from it, making it a focal point. Yeah, that's pretty cool. No mistaking what that's about. Cool, cool. Here is the book. The first word that came in my head was Punjab. I guess it's because of the architecture and the jungly effect of the background. And then here's the book, of course, very prominent in the front. I like that. I even like the bird that's peeking out. There we go. Sorry, it's a little dark here now. I hope I don't have to re-record, but we'll see. Oh, I like that. Okay, so this woman is where she likes to write her letters. This is the letter. Here's a post. Here's a stamp with a confirmation post stamp on top of it. There is another letter envelope here with a stamp and stickers and marks on it. And then labeling of different things that she has on the wall or in the background. And more envelopes, letter papers. It's like a really cool effect with how much detail they got in. And here's spilled ink. So she's most likely writing with a fountain pen, which is a very permanent way to write and can be very frustrating if you're not very good at it. Awesome. So that's cool. So little layers on that one, lots of layers. Here's the man. Ooh, so Rogi. Has a home. Looks like they're showing the garden or greenway in the front or back of the mansion or home. It's pretty cool. Here is another man. Oh, I like that it's another nationality, another race. That's so cool. I love inclusion. And I'm afraid I'm getting a little chilly, so I need to change environment so it's not going to be so pretty. Sorry. Okay, sorry. It was getting a little chilly. It's still, we have clouds coming in and storms for tomorrow. So anyways, I really love that we've got two males, different races, so we can be inclusive. I love that. I almost wish there was like four, so you could have like an older males, younger males, that kind of thing. But it's still inclusive. Still quite an awesome little addition. Sometimes they do have older and younger, but then they don't always have a different race. Or you can have one of darker or one of lighter coloring. That's always nice too. So I'm assuming we're coming to the ladies. Oh, that's a really lovely lady, woman. The jewelry's gorgeous. The lion on the male, I really like. I love felines, so it's like an automatic love. So I think these two are the ones that match, but I think you could easily match this way as well. Yeah, it's so lovely. Oh, I like that each one has its own tone. That is really cool. So here is the male and female, blue and like a pinkish red theme going here. And then I'll just do another layer. And then you have this nice browns and blues with this one. And then this is more browns and whites, or almost reddish browns, the yellow lion. So definitely different environments. I like that inclusion. Also hinting at different personalities, I think. It's really cool. I love color inclusion. I do think there's a place for black and white. I just haven't really been drawn to one that I absolutely had to have, but I do think they can be very beautiful for decks. Oh, I love this. My plant is the water lily. I'm a Pisces. I just had my birthday, March 7th. And this speaks to me lots. My favorite colors, the whole almost starry or even fairy dust misty aspect to it. I love it. Lilies, so beautiful. Oh, and look, like there's a little water nymph or sprite or maybe even mermaid there. So beautiful. You don't even notice her at first glance unless you're really looking for her. So lush. Definitely talks of water. Oh, and I just noticed it's like purple toned and then blues. That's so gorgeous. I don't even know what to say. I feel like I'm going to have to really take some time with the layers. I'm obviously noticing quite a bit of the layers, but I'm definitely going to have to take my time taking in it all. The sun. I really do like that. I like there's the face turning this way, and then there's a face facing forward, and then you have, it looks like a piece that was for labeling the different parts of the head, maybe for reading. Oh, it's that technique of reading this through touch the skull to figure out personality things. It says acquisitionist on one piece here. It says cautious. I can't read it. Something consciousness or contentious. I'm going to have to really take some time. Hope and oh my gosh, it's very, very big, expansive, juicy words that are a little hard to read in the font. But I think you could. Some of it's easy, like tame or tune, and it's just because there's color mixed and it's in a shading effect, so you might even want to take a little eyepiece and get really in there, and then okay, I know what those sections were, because it's kind of neat to look at that. And I think that was just one of those methods where you could read the head to get stuff about personality and what the different areas were focused on and stuff. Another interesting thing is this is a light bulb right here with some connecting parts. Here's a hook and lines, and here's 2 wires and the focal point there. So yeah, and then the sun flames in the background, and then almost like a rainbow effect here, and then more rays going out. So yeah, such layering and meaning you can get in this piece by itself. Awesome. The sun. Oof, I love collage decks. Although for some reason I was not very drawn to the Voyager Tarot. I don't know what it was. It was one of the, I don't know, something about that one really put me off. Although I thought the details were really fascinating. I just couldn't read with it. Okay, so the moon, you have a moon face here, and then another side view. Interesting. It looks like they use a similar head on the sun and the moon for that side piece. One looking to the same direction, actually, off to the side. Okay, and then you have that Asian architecture gazebo. Ooh, mushrooms. Ooh, different kinds of mushrooms, actually. Yeah, several different kinds of mushrooms all gathered below here. And yeah, so the moon, I really like that. I've always liked this face on the moon picture that I've seen in vintage books and advertising magazines, different things. I've seen it in illustrated books. Okay, this is the key. the key. So we have a hand positioned behind the key, maybe to make it more visual, but also they've marked different letters along the lines of the hand, you know. So palmistry lines possibly, and then this layering of a gate in front of a building. So the key to access greater knowledge or the treasure or what have you. You were the key to moving forward. So many different things could go there, right? Well represented. I like that. And I also like that the key is almost like not solid, representing that in some ways I've heard you are the key for moving forward and making things happen. So, or your hand reaches for access, has the ability to act as the key to open things. So I really like that it's not a solid form because it lends to that more metaphoric or spiritual meaning of the key. Okay. And I think I was just trying to recognize what this, not really sure what this is supposed to be representing or symbolizing in the corner there. Or if it's just a layering piece, it could be. Oh, I like also, this is like a pathway. On the other side of this gate, there's like a pathway leading up to the building. So that's cool. So many details to take in. I love that. Details, details, details. Oh, this fish. Yeah, okay, so fish in water over a lake. Oh, so this is like a bigger portrait in the background that has the lake and mountains and the shoreline, some bridges to cross and access, little boats out in the water, and then you have the fish and gems and treasure. This looks like some kind of perfume bottle or something, maybe. I don't know. Some really cool things, but definitely the aspect of prosperity, the fishes, gems and treasure. Maybe that you would find it within the waters, but we're more, let's keep it simple. The fish and its representation, business, independence, entrepreneurship, being successful. Okay. And then we have the anchor. And there's coral, seashells. Of course, this must be underwater. Looks like this blue maybe over here reminds me a little bit of the edges of seaweed, but I could be wrong. So coral and the anchor and seashells for sure. Really pretty. I like the tones. And we are almost done. So here is the cross, and normally we would be finished once we make the cross. I'm not really fond of the Christian path representation of the cross, but for the meaning of the card, totally awesome. And I see another more equal-armed cross. Actually not sure, but it looks close to an equal-armed cross over here. And then here's another kind of cross on the side, more and more. And then, yeah, there's some birds here, a woman standing on an edge somewhere. Yeah. Pretty good on the symbolism for representing the cross. I could see it working. All right, so now for the last few extra cards. Here's one called the Aura. Interesting, it has a band kind of going across the major chakra points, and then the crown has an emphasis of a similar band across the one of the highest chakra points, the crown. And I see butterflies or moths. They remind me more of moths. And I like the mix of the tones of color and this kind of night starry sky aspect. Again, moth or butterfly wings there. So that's cool. And also aura 37. Ooh, bats. I love bats. Not everybody likes bats, but I like bats. I like that there's 1, 2, 3, 4 bats. Wait, yep. And this is like a stained glass window or carved etching area. I like that. It'll be interesting to read why they've used bats. It's number 38. I like the colors. The details are really nice too. Looks like there's different kinds of bats too. At least 2 different kinds. Oh, actually, 1, 2. That's something I just noticed. So this bat has long ears. Okay. This bat has short ears and actually I believe a special mouth or nose piece, if I remember correctly. It's a different kind of bat. This is another style of bat. And I can't tell about the other one, but that one right there actually looks larger, the one underneath. But I can't really, see any features because it's underneath this more darker tone bat on top of it. So I think this isn't just one kind of bat, this is several kinds of bat, thus having slightly different sensitivities and abilities and things that they eat. So more symbology there than you might think at first glance. Or meaning, I should say. Here's the umbrella. And this is the same art as the guidebook cover. And this is actually in the same colors and tones. So that's cool. There's some moths and butterflies. A berry on a branch with leaves. I feel like there's a bicycle missing or something. I don't know. Something about the look of the guy reminds me of the time period they showed the wheels with the bikes with the big wheels in the front and the small one in the back. Something about that guy reminds me of that. But I could see umbrella being another mode of transportation like Mary Poppins or something like that. There's a building in the far background, maybe. Yeah, it's like a building, not a gazebo. A couple other ones too, like a little village on the hill, that kind of thing. So cool. And, ooh, the kitty. The beautiful kitty. So this is the familiar. There is actually the cat and then a spider and I'm not really sure what this area is, but there's another layering of detail over here. But here's the spider over here, the cat. Just trying to see if the other area reminds me of carvings or something, like carvings of some sort. Really cool. A plant. Just can't quite make out the picture that well on that side, but there's definitely another symbol type thing going on there. Take me a little time to study it, and I'm sure the guidebook might explain some. And finally, the seer that we saw before, that again is the same picture that's on the box, but in a different tone. This is more blues. This has reds. Other than that, and they've reversed the facing. It's pretty much, other than that, it's the same picture. Oh, but they have, there is a difference. So in this one, they've done some collaging. There's no cat on this one. There is on this one. This has like a watery scene in the background. This does not. This definitely is a bit different. The same part seems to be the main woman, and then they've changed the color tones. And then much about the rest of it pretty much changes after that. They've done a different layering of collage. There's like a vase or a container unit here. This looks like an incense holder and it allows it to diffuse out. This kind of looks like a rug in the on the background there, and some other textured piece here. But then after that, you have like the incense smoke wafering around the lady and the sphere she's holding. Now on the cover of the box, it has a moth and the sphere, but here the sphere is a true sphere with a couple of 3 images, like a couple getting married with a priest, someone standing with a child, and then a baby in a cradle. So there is major differences, not just color differences between the cover and the piece on the card. So that's interesting. Also, it looks as if this is a moth and flowing waters, lilies, some other blossom types. And then this one does have, now that I take a deeper look, the cradle, the married couple getting married, and a child standing by an older person. But the tone definitely makes it feel different as well. Let me see that. Again, no moth in this card, but there is a moth overlaying. And there's a moon behind her head on this one, where this one just has the sphere in her hands. Okay, on the card. So yeah, some definite differences with the collage work versus on the cover versus the card. Oh, right. Again, I would suggest probably doing, especially with the size of the cards, I'll probably be doing the cutting shuffle, the back and forth cutting shuffle to keep the shape. I know my hands are small enough that I might accidentally bend these in a way that I don't want to, although I'm actually very accustomed to doing the side. Ooh, that actually shuffles really nicely. What's known as a side shuffle, which is instead of shuffling from end to end, I do the side. And that actually works very well as long as you're not too rushy with it. And it flexes back really nicely, but I imagine over time that might start to flex a little bit. I think you'd be safer doing this, or even a table swirl on a very soft cloth. I noticed there's already a little, it looks like that was already there. There's a little nick on 1 or 2 of the cards. Looks like that was already there though. Feels as if it was. So yeah, I'd take it those are the main ways to possibly shuffle. Swirling on the table, side, or you do it from the side in, or the cutting method overhand. It feels really good in the hands though. With it being so wide, it's nice that it isn't so thick. It almost needed to not be thick to be able to effectively handle this deck. And I really have small hands. I'm only used to dealing with bigger decks because a lot of my oracles are wider, but not necessarily longer than regular tarot cards. So that lent to wanting to do the side shuffle, which I actually kind of do better now than a regular shuffle, ruffle shuffle and stuff. So let's just see what card comes up now that we've shuffled a little bit, just for funsies. Woman, and I even got the heavily jeweled lady. Pretty. That's interesting. I see a pathway in the background there, and there's like a person standing back there. Really pretty. I'm not going to try to draw a meaning from that. I just wanted to see what would come up. So yeah, definitely will want to take time with the book. There's so much symbolism and things going on with the pictures that I want to make sure that I understand. And it does talk like, say, the writer in the first one, and I've shuffled, so nothing's going to be able to be easily found right now. But hey, why don't we look at the coffin real quick, just to get an impression. Coffin is number 8. Gives you, for the coffin, it gives you 1, 2, 3, about 3 pages of information. That's kind of nice. It has key terms: respite, ending, burial, death, life change, illness, and depletion. The number of the card and what they've called it. And then it has like 3 pages of information about the coffin. So the sands of time trickle through the hourglass as a sign of impending change, losses, and endings. So that would be the hourglass we noticed here. Just put this up if we can. All right, there you go. And let's see. You see features in the skull that form cracks in the glass caused by the pecking of the crow. Oh, that would be the animal there. He is the keeper of mysteries, guiding us deeper into the fuzzy darkness of unknown, where death and transformation spin the wheels of creation. Times are changing. Embrace the change with grace, or resist it with pain. Eventually, the bones of what is known will turn to dust in this funeral urn. The coffin provokes our greatest human fear, the fear of death and total loss. Many of us are terrified by death. However, believing that the end comes with judgment and pain. Others are terrified because they believe death brings nothing but total blackness and annihilation of our awareness. Deep in your soul, you know the truth that what lies beyond is not the loss of life, awareness, or individuality. Slipping to hands of death is transition, becoming clay of divinity to be shaped into another bold and beautiful masterpiece. And it goes on. I'm not going to read any further because it's 3 pages, folks. So there's looks to be lots of nice detail. And it's going to go into more aspects of that. And then it has this part here. It says, ask yourself, what can I lay to rest now? What can I let go of? It gives kind of like an action thing to work with it. And maybe even some suggestions. Okay? Like I said, it looks really cool. I definitely will be taking the time to study the guidebook. I'm actually loving the sides. I know this isn't going to be the best deck for doing a grand tableau, but honestly, I don't do them very often. I learned the petite grand tableau, or where you do 2 layers, over at the Tarot and Symposium last year, but even that would be a little bit hard to do with such large cards. So I'd probably be sticking with, say, the 9 card spread, or 3, or maybe even the 6, or maybe even the 7 or 5 card spread, those kind of things where you're just trying to get a complete look at something, or maybe get a few more details besides that, like a past, present, future, or different levels of a situation. And I feel that this will be really awesome for people who maybe were very much into divination, but have started to lose their eyesight and need a larger pictures to be able to look through. Yes, there's some fine details, but the main symbols are very prominent. And that's what you need to read Lenormand, is the main symbolism being very prominent, right? The rest is extras and lovely, and if you're looking to read an oracle style, this deck will be appealing for that. So I can't wait to explore the book more. I have a feeling I'm in the ready side right now, so I won't do that because it's already long enough. I will just give you a peek that there is a table of contents, introduction to the lunar self and the solar self, how to use the oracle, and then the meanings of the cards is pretty much the rest of the second part of the book. And then a part 3 is how to become a lunar nomad, with a bunch of interesting titles there as well, like the Oracle is a map for the journey, as a map for the journey, writing the story of your lunar path, reading the story of 1 card, 3 cards, 9 cards. So it looks like you're going into spreads there. And then tips for making the most of your learning journey and enhancing your lunar connection. So yeah, and I would usually, where it says how to use this Oracle, yeah, there is a 3-card spread in the how to use the Oracle section, layers of symbolism and reading the cards, that kind of thing in that section. But in the 3rd section, it's almost like a spiritual path for saying things. Another 3-card spread called Storytelling with the Cards. There's tips for that spread, storytelling with the 9 cards. Predictive, destructive, or creative versions. It shows it in place, and it looks like it gives a sample reading to explain using it. And then tips for making the most of your learning journey. Not very long, but pretty good. And then it talks about the cards and magical work, daily forecasts for affirmations. Oh, and they have an affirmation for each card in a list form. So there's the start of it. Goes for 3 pages almost. Yep. And then cards as talismans. Awake latent potential, treasure your deck, cleansing your cards. So I think it's a pretty good rounding of starting a new system of Oracle and using the Lenormand as a base and then a jumping off point. I think the packaging is really unique and nice, but this box might or might not last very long. Be very gentle with it. But having this outer sturdier box is definitely a plus and will probably help keep the kit in good condition for longer. And it's very unique and nice looking. I like it. I like that it's left-handed tending because I'm left-handed. So there's my walkthrough and first impressions of the actual cards. And like I said, I hadn't really gone too much into the guidebook either. I hope you enjoyed this. It is beautiful. I love this vintage feel it has, and yet quite a unique look, and the size is wonderful for really wanting to see bigger things, especially if you're reading it in, like, say, poorer eyesight or in a more, like it says, Oracle fashion. So I hope y'all have a great week. Let me know if you like this, and I will talk to you all as soon as I can. Bye-bye.